Never know. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the What Pets Want podcast with Chloe Brunsma, and I'm CJ Derby. And I'm going to remind you guys that everything you hear tonight is our opinion. And if there's a medical issue with your pet, we always say take it to your veterinarian. Your vet is your best option for your pet. Good evening, Chloe. How are you tonight?
Hey, DJ, everybody have a good time for Christmas? I hope everybody did. My dog's got a lot of stuff that they wanted on their list from one of my clients, which thank you, Kristen, if you're listening. They love them. So,
Ah, cool.
uh, but yeah, today I figured I'd talk a little bit about how my training works. There's a lot of questions that I get, even from trainers, like, how does it work? Does it work? You know, do people like it? Is it like, do you feel like you're missing out and you need to be more hands-on? And I don't actually. Actually, this is so much better than actually being in person. So we'll kind of go through some of the little bit about what I do and how it works, and then I'll kick it over to CJ after that for we got talking about when you have a bunch of animals and you pass away, what we got to think about for that. So we'll talk about that. But um, for my training, I actually it started out when I was during COVID. I was working for another training company, and they did it right, virtual because it was COVID. You couldn't really go and say hi to the pups or train in person. So did that and learned a lot about how the whole thing works. And it actually works great. It works better than in-person training. Um, because first of all, in your own home, there's less distractions. The pet knows everything's at home. They know, they're comfortable with it. Versus you going to Petco, PetSmart, there's usually, 80 other dogs there, and it's hard for them to focus. So they're not doing so much training hearing wise. Most of the time, those trainers, it's all lure-based training. They have to get a treat in their hand, put it in from the dog, and then you're kind of trying to lure them to do what they want because that's the only way you can grab their attention because there's just so many distractions going around. So are they really learning? Because a lure, what ends up happening if you're just using luring is it's almost like, how can I explain it? Like if you're on your phone and you use the map and you got to go from one point A to point B and you use that phone to get you to the other place, that's all a lure. You have to look at the phone to get there. You're not looking at the other things like landmarks and stuff like that to figure out where you are. So then when you're there, you get to your destination. Sometimes you have to use the maps, the Google Maps, just to get home because you weren't paying attention to what actually was around you. You still needed a lure to get back home. So if that makes sense, which most people,
Right.
yeah, it does. So you're not really learning or taking in the information around you. So the same thing goes for the dog. If you got that treat and they're just following that, are they really, really learning how to do a sit or a down? Or do you need the hand gesture in order to do it? Or do you need a treat in your hand every time in order for them to do it? So with my training, I get rid of a lot of the learning and I let the dog do the work. I let the dog think about things. I give them a minute and they actually learn much quicker this way. So you got distractions in your environment is one thing. Also, if I'm doing most of my training with dogs with anxiety, if I go for separation anxiety, I have the people leave, but I'm still there on video. I'm watching the dog. That's probably most of my training is doing that. Sometimes I have to sit for an hour or two just watching the dog while the owners are away just because I need to figure out what time or how long they're safe to be alone. So that's how a lot of the training for separation anxiety started was all on video. There was no point going there because you were going to leave anyway. So that's a lot of how, separation anxiety, it's all going to be on remote video. When it comes to a lot of these other dogs, social anxiety, especially with people, I get tons of that. That's a lot of, when people are coming into the house and they're going crazy. We get a lot of dogs, social anxiety with other dogs. That one's a little bit trickier, but again, I talk them through the process. Or I've always, you can put me on your phone. There's Zoom on your phone, and I had people in Amsterdam. I've gone on walks with, which is really cool. I can go anywhere I want in the world with this. So I can help out everybody outside the box, but I can still do exactly what an in-person trainer would do. Uh, Another thing is when I used to be an in-person trainer, it took the dog 20 minutes or 30 minutes to settle down before you could even get them to think, because they're just so excited that somebody new came to the house. So I was kind of wasting like 20 or 30 minutes just to get the dog calm, just so I can get them to actually, listen and train. With doing it video wise, there's no, I don't have to do that at all. So it saves a lot of time when it comes to video training as far as that goes. The other thing is when I was an in-person trainer, people would use me as a crutch. So I'd ask and I'd show them how to do it. But a lot of people would watch, but I needed them to do the work, not so much me. I found when I do the video training, it's all you guys. I'm not there. You've got to do it, and I talk you through. But it's also, the dog should be listening to you, not me. I'm not there 24/7. You
Right.
guys are. And I felt with a lot of in-person training, because you used me as a crutch, the dog did really good with me, but when I was gone, it was a different story. So this has helped out in multiple different things as far as the anxiety dogs, regular dogs, anything like that. Uh, the last thing is I can start training your pup at 6 weeks old. And the reason why is in-person training, again, we sometimes have to switch out our clothes and stuff like that, because if I go to somebody else's house that has a dog that's, might be sick or has, something, they don't have the symptoms of parvo, but they can be a carrier, they can be an underlying vitamin, and then they go to a puppy, they can get sick. They can get parvo and stuff from that. And that's also why you shouldn't go to these group classes for like Petco or any of them, because they can't be around other dogs until they've been fully vaccinated, which is usually 16 weeks of age. That's a lot of time you're losing for training. So doing the video, I can start training at 6 weeks, and that's great, because now I'm ahead of the curve from the other ones, and they actually pick it up a lot quicker too. So I've had a lot of clients who do, training with me, and then socially they go to these, the Petco ones. They're like, oh my gosh, my dog is so much better than all the rest of them. Like he had no problem. And they like to brag about, their dog and stuff like that. I'm like, that's good, that's great. So they're like, actually, they're like, you actually train and do things more than, those other training, those other classes. And I go, it's fine, I'm great. It's really just there for the social things for dogs to see if, and also you can see how much your dog is learning, because there's a lot of distractions, like I said. So if the dog can do the sits and the downs and stuff like that, it shows your training is great, because they can do it in a distracting environment. So those are all great highlights of why, the program works, as far as everything goes. I'm just going to talk about how, like, what do I offer for people? So I do a lot as far as the beginner trainers, or training your dog, like sits, downs, touch, stay, wait, leave it, heel, let's go for walking, go to bed, crate training, and if you need it, and also barking, chewing, and jumping. Uh,
Ah,
I
so you
recommend all
offer
that.
all that.
Oh, yes, we do all
Oh,
that.
that's all on video. That's a video training. That's awesome.
Yep. It's great for the beginners. Those are my beginner courses. And if you just got a puppy, doesn't matter whatever life stage you're in, if you've had them before, let me tell you what all my clients are like, you're godsend, because you're going through that again. But a lot of people don't get a new puppy until like every 10 or 12 years. And your life is so much different than what it was 10 or 12 years ago. They're like, I don't ever remember this being. I go, it's because you're older and
It's what
you
it
didn't
is.
have kids, but now you have kids. And so having me to talk through, and also, there's puppies that have attention seeking behavior. The chewing is outrageous, the jumping. It helps you guys to know what to do to keep this stuff from happening. Because my one big thing I like to say is your dogs are perfect. It's us. I have to change your behavior to change your dog's behavior. So
Right.
once I figure out what you guys need to do, everything changes. And they're like, wow. I'm like, yeah, it's the dog's just doing, if I do this, what's the outcome? I need to figure out what you're doing because I need to change whatever the dog does after. So we have to go through different strategies and say, okay, let's do this instead. And then it changes your dog's behavior, which is what we want. So the training is more for you guys than it is for the dog. But for the beginners, we're going to teach them how to do those sits, those downs, all those things in the beginning. It usually takes anywhere from 6 to 8 weeks. Again, it depends on your dog. There's no major time limit on these things. So it's however the dog, gets how well it's easy for it to learn. So that's the beginner's one. The second one, which is level 2, we get into manners. That's where we're going, what we want the dog to do when the doorbell rings. Like a lot of dogs just go
Right.
crazy, and it's because they don't know what to do. We have to show them. They're just
They
not going to
go
go
into
to a
like
mat and lay
panic
there.
mode.
Well, yeah, it's a huge trigger, but if you don't show your dog what you want them to do, then they're never going to do it. So level 2s is more of, again, we're trying to get what do you want your dog to do, and then we go through these different things to get it there. So that one's a pretty popular one. The other one that I do a ton of, and most of my clients, this is what we need, is relaxation training. Again, most of the people that come to me are dogs with anxiety disorders. So I need to give you guys and also the dog resources and get them to learn how to relax. Because again, you're not just going to relax. I mean, even us. I mean, that's, I'm horrible at meditating, but doesn't mean I give up on it. I still continue to try and do it, because practice makes perfect. If I keep doing it over and over again, I'm supposed to get better, which I am. I can do more than 5 minutes now. So, but again, relaxation training is we're teaching the dog how they can come back down from a trigger. So like the
Right.
doorbell, or I get a lot of rescues. The big thing with rescues is, yeah, I don't know what happened to them as a rescue. It doesn't necessarily, I don't need to know, but I need to kind of figure out what the triggers are so then I can make that dog feel better about those triggers. So instead of when a doorbell means, rings, and that means a new person's coming into the house, let's say, hey, that doorbell now means go to your bed. But I have to also make sure in the relaxation training, and as I'm doing as an attack, I have to make sure that dog feels okay. Because if you don't make the dog feel okay, they can't learn. So I have to give them resources with the relaxation training and stuff like that, where I ring a doorbell, they lay on the mat, and we're giving them treats afterwards. So that doorbell now means treat, treat, treat. And instead of them going crazy, it's now, oh, it means I get a treat, and they come to you for a treat instead. The relaxation training again also goes through things where what you can do for your dog to get them over an anxiety or a panic attack that can help. So there's the relaxation training. It's huge. A lot of people have seen like major, their dog's definitely calmer afterwards. But a lot of it is just to give you guys resources so that you can help your dog. So that's usually a big one that I usually use with a lot of different clients with different, kinds of pets, that have anxieties, whether it's sound anxiety, general anxiety, social anxiety, even guarding. All that stuff is as they feel. It's a fear. So I have to make them feel better about stuff, but I also need to give them resources so that if they are having a panic attack, it's going to be shorter or they can come back down from it quicker. So that's what the relaxation training is. I also started with enrichment training on here. That scent work, movement puzzles, some of the stuff that I talked about enrichment, I can do that online, easy peasy. So those are all the different things that there's more, but those are the main ones that I do. Also, my classes are half an hour long. They're not an hour. We found out when it comes to training, especially dogs, they can only handle 2 to 4 minutes at a time with one single cue. You don't want to keep going and going and going because they're like little kids. These guys are toddlers. And I'm bored, I'm going to be done, but I only have their attention for anywhere from 2 to 4 minutes. Then I'll switch it to something new or something different, and then I'll go back to it again. But pretty much you just want your training to be short and sweet. You also want to end it on a great note. If you're doing the same thing and they're failing, the dog's going to get frustrated and upset and just not want to do the training anymore. That's not what I want. So if they're not getting it, I'm going to either stop or I'm going to do something that they like or that they're really good at, and then go back again and we'll try it again. So there's a lot of different things you can do in a half an hour because you only have a short set of time. You really want to do those things. So that's why you don't need a full hour. Some of that hour with an in-person trainer, like I said, half an hour is trying to get the dog to settle down. And then the other half is, doing some training, but you can't do the same thing for 20 minutes. You got to mix it up or the dog's going to lose interest and then they're not going to like the training. So that's also why it's only a half an hour. Plus, I don't want to give you guys tons of homework. It's easier if you just do 2 or 3, learning things. And then you substitute some of the stuff again that they love. You want them to like the training. So that's why it's short. The other thing is with my training, it's easier on your schedule because I don't have to drive there. So it's not too time consuming, but if you can't do a certain time, we can switch it at another time, which is really nice. Instead of usually in person, you have to keep it. You can't switch it on an easier thing because you got a lot of different things going on. So it's easier to change your schedule and stuff like that. Doing it this way, I have no problem fitting people in. Also, it's, as far as the budget goes, as a trainer, a lot of the time, what in-person trainers do still is like they charge you like $3,000 and you get like 6 or 8 lessons. And you got to use them within a certain time. If you don't, you lose the money. So the thing is with my training, I charge you guys not in the group package, but just per session. The sessions are anywhere from usually around $40 to $50 per session, depending on what you need as far as beginners, the manners or relaxation, enrichment. You can go on my website. You can see what the different costs are. But again, that's a little bit easier in people's budget. And if you can't do it every week, I do plenty of people where we do it every other week. So it's on your budget as well. It doesn't have to be every week if that's not what you can afford. So it makes it a bit easier. And then after we get through like you go through the relaxation training and the level training and you're good where you are. I've had clients that I've trained for 3 or 4 years and they just do it once a month just to keep up with the training. If anything pops up, we can switch or we teach them something new because that's what the dogs really love. I've had so many clients say, oh, my dog loves you because every time they hear you on the video, they get so excited because they know it's treat time because we treat so much when I'm on the call with you that they really start to notice my voice. Like they're like, oh, this lady, and they're like, that my dog is perfect with you when we train. They're like, can we get this on video and just play it all day because they're awesome when you're on the phone. And I was like, yeah, I go, it's because the rate of reinforcement goes up, but I think it's because they also learn new things. It's exciting for them, so it definitely helps.
So the sessions that you do, are you able to record those for clients to watch again, or do you not do that? And the reason I ask is because in my case, as a traumatic brain injury survivor, I may forget the way that you taught me things. So that's why I'm just curious if that's something, can
Yeah,
they pay
my
extra for a recording or how does that work?
no, I record all my sessions, and it's a lot of it I do because I need to show the vet or the behavioral vet what's really going on because I have found out through the training and also working with the vet behavioralist here. they're not seeing everything. So I like to tape it so that we can really see what's going on. So they have a clear understanding. But
Oh,
if somebody wants some of their tapes and stuff like that, yeah, it's easy. I mean, it's just you just send it over. Not a big deal, but you do sign like the waivers and stuff like that when you go onto my booking page. There'll be forms that will be sent to you, and the recording ones is just to let you know that we record it to show the veterinarian, or if you need it or something like that.
and then do you agree, like in your paperwork, do they have to agree not to share it online too?
That's up to them.
Oh, you let them do that. Okay.
Well, no, nobody's asked to do that, but most of the time it's just for medical things. But I was actually I called a client today to see if it was okay that if I showed a clip of how my training works, and she said, "Oh yeah, thanks for asking first." So I didn't want to like
Yeah.
startle her, but I got a clip here of how the training kind of works. This is with a long-term client. The dog's name's Callum. Uh, and his original issue was he had social anxiety. He barked. Well, obviously, when people came in, he didn't do well with other dogs. Even as a puppy, he'd bark and stuff like that. And I found out, the barking is all it was anxiety. And that's what he was having. He
Oh,
was kind of freaking out. It wasn't that he was excited. It was he didn't know how to manage or control it. So after putting him on some medication, he's amazing. Like you'll see in this clip, we taught him the chin game. So the chin game is he rests his chin on the ground. And as long as he keeps his chin down, and this is going to be somebody coming into her house. She's going to be playing the chin game with the new person coming in.
oh, nice.
This helps dogs to give them a choice, because that's what we want to do. We want to give them a voice, and we want to give them a choice. So if he doesn't feel safe with this person coming closer to him, he's going to lift his head up. When his head goes up, that means that person stops, and she does a really good job with it. Then he's got to put his chin back down if he wants her to come closer. She goes closer until she gives him the treat. But this shows you, like, even like I don't have to be there in person. This is actually works great because there's not like 3 or 4 people now in the room. I'm still in the room, but I'm not in the room, but I can talk her through what to do. I don't think you guys will hear anything, but at least you can see what how it works. So this is the Kale and then Tracy, and he's got his chin down right now. You can see that. And then this is her neighbor walking in. So he sees her, and I'm just talking through her, give her a treat, clicking, and then she walked in the house. He wants to go say hi, but we can get him back on the part is she calls it target kit. It's a platform training is what we call it. And then we're gonna do the chin game. So Tracy's gonna do it first to kind of show him we're doing the game, and then we're gonna let her neighbor do it. And he's really good. Like, he loves this game. It's amazing.
He's happy getting all those treats too.
Yeah. But this was a dog that would scream when people come over.
Yeah, he's awesome. How old is he?
Mm-hmm. He's a little, he's got to be almost 2 years now. Oh, Tracy, I'm sure will chime in and might tell us on Facebook. But he came over when he was a puppy.
He's
Uh,
beautiful. What breed is
mhm.
he?
uh, a Welsh, is it a Welsh Terrier? So now we're gonna let Sharon, that's her neighbor, do it. Who wants to follow Tracy?
So the object of the chin game is to have him basically stay where he's at and let the new person approach him.
Well, so we're giving him a choice. he can either lift his head up if he doesn't feel safe and doesn't want that person to come closer. That's why we're having him lift up. So that means that person has to freeze. Now, if he can keep it down, I know he's learning, right? He's doing something. He's not freaking out. He's learning, but he's also that tells me he's safe. But he does it better
Okay.
again. But he's looking at Tracy because, she does the majority of the training. Just like I said, don't use me as a crutch because if I'm doing it all, eventually that's all they're going to listen to. So luckily, I'm not there. He listens to Tracy. Great. But we're trying to emotionally, get him to be okay with people coming in. And if he's not learning, it's not going to help him. Also, that barking means he's over threshold. He's again not learning. But with the chin, he's calm, he's quiet, he's letting us know that okay, you can get closer as long as he can control his chin. Well, she dropped a treat. That's why. Dropped a treat. Oh my gosh. But he's come such a long way uh from when he first came to me. He does great now with when the doorbell rings, he goes right to his platform, he can stay there. But
For this platform, where do people find these type of
you
things?
can get them on Amazon. If anybody wants to know where to get it, I can show them. My Amazon has them. They can be expensive. I think like that one is like somewhere around $80 or $90. So there you go. It's okay.
Oh yeah,
But
look at
he
him.
did it. No, but
It's a great,
um
it's so cool to see, even in that short clip, his transformation
yeah,
from being a little nervous, and then he's relaxed and he's letting the neighbor come in and give him that treat with no
yeah,
jumping, no barking, no craziness. It's
yeah,
nice.
yeah. So that's just he's great. He also loves shaping, which is a clicker training thing where you don't tell him anything on what to do and you just click him for the behavior that you want. He picks up on that really well. Archie does the same thing. That's what his favorite game is. But we do enrichment training, like I've done enrichment training, movement puzzles with him on here. We've done inside outside. We have him on the deck in one because it's harder outside. But as far as an in person, I don't need to be there. I can do everything I want on here, just talking you through it. So a lot of people love it. And they love the cost. They like how I fit it by your schedule. So if it's anything you guys are looking into, go on campchloe.com, look up, in my training, and you can book a session right on there. It just says click. It goes to Vigero where you can pick up your time slots, usually I tell people if your dog has no training and you need the beginners, do that first, and then obviously we can go through with the manners or the relaxation. If your dog already has a majority, sit down, stay, or whatever, and most people that contact me are usually from either the vet's office or word of mouth through other trainers, we can go right to the relaxation. I don't really need to do the easy stuff because most of the relaxation is them at a down. So I might have to teach them down, but they actually do it all on their own. It's not too hard to do most of this, but most of the people that come are for the relaxation training, and it's to help give them a resource to bring their anxiety down, but also to process the information that they're getting. Most dogs have anxiety, they're freaking out. They're not learning. They can't learn when they're in the middle of it. So we have to bring it out in a safe distance away so that feels better so that they can process and learn. That's what the relaxation is training, because a lot of people don't understand it. And I know a lot of people think, oh, that's like, they're not like, this is dumb. It's not doing them any good, or it's not doing. I go, you got to understand how fear works. If you're in it, you're not going to learn anything. You got to step away from it. And we have to start really easy and build our way up through the training. So Relaxation training is a longer process, but like again, I work with your time schedule and your budget. We might not be able to do it every week. We might be able to do it every other week or whatever, but we still get through it. So that's a lot about how my training works. And if you guys need anything, go online, book it. Also, I like to inform people you don't have to pay up front. It's after that. So if there is like a payment thing on the when you click on it, Vigaro for that, they won't charge you. I don't charge you until after we've done the session at the end. And most people pay me through uh, Venmo, PayPal. I do have a credit card thing, so if it's anything like that that you need, that's fine. Oh,
Can you tell us your website again and also what you're saying for the scheduling? Are you saying Vero?
Vagaro,
V-A-R-O?
Varavo, Vagaro. But it's
V
campchloe.com is my uh, website. So it's CAMPCLOE. No H. There's no H in Chloe. So it is easy.
and can you say again the scheduling software? What is that?
Varago.
Oh, Vagaro.
Yes. Yeah. Nope.
Varago.
V A V what is it? AVG. I know. I'm spelling it wrong. Sorry, guys. Vagaro. Sorry.
V-A-G-A-R.
Garo. Yeah.
Okay. Vagaro. Okay.
Yes.
I just
Yes.
want to make sure that if someone wants to go and check out things that they can get to your site and
Yeah.
get to your scheduling place.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yep.
So
All right.
I
So it's up to you now, CJ. You're on point with yours.
are you doing did you want to show us your
Do it.
enrichment?
I do it at the end, remember?
Oh, whoops. Yeah, I forgot
It's
about
okay.
that. All right.
It's okay.
Hang on one second. Let's see if I have this was the end of my slideshow. Hold up. Hang on, I shared the wrong screen. Gotta love me and my technology. Happy Monday. Um, all right. So my topic, it's one that we don't always like to talk about. Um, what happens, after you pass or if you become incapacitated, what happens to your large animals and other pets and that sort of thing. And so that's what I wanted to talk about, the importance of having a plan. Um, one of the things people don't like to think about this. They just don't. It's something that, we hope never happens. We hope everything goes well in life and we're here for a long time. These are topics that we just don't want to think about. So, um, one of the things, hang on a second. I lost where I could share my screen. So just give me one second. You guys never know like what I'm gonna do. This is why I don't talk much. And it's still, do you see it or is it still black? It looks like it's still black. Oh, hold on a second. Give me one second. I'm having technical difficulties as I do this. I want to do my slideshow from the beginning. And there we go. Finally. So I started to talk about this. And here we are. So what people didn't know, or maybe you did know this, but under
You
the
got to share
law,
it. It's not up on
oh,
the thing.
whoops.
It's like me not being able to spell my Vagaro.
Now I have to find the Zoom screen. Oh, Lord. I am on Zoom every day for school. This is what I do. My whole career is on Zoom now. All right, so let's try this again. Slideshow and from the beginning. And we're going to ride through this again. So, okay, so what I want to tell you guys a lot of people don't realize this, but under the laws of all 50 states, a pet owner cannot leave any part of their estate outright to an animal that they own. You can't say, well, I'm leaving my house and car to my dog. What you have to do, because animals are considered property and part of the estate, you have to find somebody, maybe a family member that you could appoint as a trustee, to provide money to, a lawyer can set it up in your will, have a trustee that appoints money provided for a caregiver. And I'll just tell you, I inherited cats. I don't know if you guys know that story or not, but what happened is I got a call, and it was from an attorney's office that said I had been named in a will. They don't tell you what you inherited, they just tell you the date and time to be there. So I went, and I found out that a person that I used to pet sit for ended up leaving me three cats, and she appointed a trustee that works with the attorney that has money for the cats. So when they need vet care, um, I take them to the vet, and then either they pay for it if I send over what the vet's office has told me the amount is, or I pay for it and I'm reimbursed. Um, my suggestion would be, though, for me, it was a surprise that I was inheriting these animals. I would say that the person that you're thinking about appointing the caregiver, you really should have that conversation with them and let them know that you're thinking about leaving your pets to them, or your horse or something, so that, God forbid, you do pass away, they know that you are willing to care for them. And I think this person knew that even though I'm highly allergic to cats and live on Benadryl when I'm around them, um, they knew that I would always take care of them. I make sure they were good. So, another thing that you can do to prepare is do a large donation to a charity with the stipulation that they have to provide care for the remainder of the animal's life. So a lot of people will do this if they donate their horse to a horse sanctuary or something. They will donate amount of funds to that organization so that their horse is provided for. Let's see here. Now, something else that is done is they have the animal euthanized. It's an option in some cases, but keep in mind, if it's a young, healthy animal, most vets are not going to agree to euthanize your pet.
Actually,
The
we did that a lot, CJ. If they have a court order, then yes, we have to. But
Oh,
mhm,
okay. Thank you
we've
for
gotten
that.
court orders before.
Thank you for that. Um, I know executors and wills, they can also opt to place the animal in a new home. As the executor of the will, they can do that too. The other thing, so young and healthy animals, they had to euthanize them if there was a court order for it.
Yes, you do.
Because I
Because
because I do know, one of the things that some people have done is had their animals euthanized and then they have the remains buried with them. I know people that have done that
yep,
in the
had a lot of
past.
those. Yep.
So, other option, if it's an older animal that's suffering from a medical issue that would be difficult to manage for a new owner or sanctuary, that might be the most peaceful option for an animal too. So it's something to think about. An elderly animal suffering from declined health, that's another reason that you may put in your last will and testament that you would like your animal euthanized. So I'm glad you mentioned that, though, about the court order, because I know a few years back, I don't think they were able to do that. So that's really good that you knew that. It's kind of sad, though, because if it's a young, healthy animal, um, but like I said, these are things that people don't necessarily think about. For me, I have in my will what is supposed to happen with all of my animals. One thing that was special consideration are parrots, because parrots, in some cases, will outlive us by quite a few years. So if you have birds, you want to make sure that you definitely have something to provide for them. I'm big on recommending that people have wills and that you include your animals in your will. Um, it's very hard on a family if somebody doesn't have a will. It can just add to the stress that your passing will cause if there's nothing. My mom didn't have a will, and we had to find a home for one of her dogs. Um, and it just was a big mess. So I know it's something that people don't want to think about, but it really is beneficial. Let's see here. I think that was probably all I really wanted to say on this. I know I kind of went fast and I got stuck on a couple of slides.
Yeah, no,
But
it's great. As far I think Joyful Rescue, the who adopted Paris and Shiloh and them, they wanted right up front to know if you died what you would do. That like they won't even adopt the dog out until they know what you're gonna do with it. Of course, my reply, because I when I was, when I worked, my dogs went with me to work every day. And they
oh,
got to
great.
pick who they wanted to go. So I let them pick. I let my animals know, who they were. So Shiloh loved Michelle, who, and but I was forthright with these people way before I go, my dog loves you. So when I die, this is, you're getting him. And everybody was okay. Like, yeah, no, totally. But I found, let the dog pick it. And usually the people are going to be a little bit more okay than you not picking, just the dog doesn't know who they're going with. And then that's usually bad for the people and the dog all together. And
Right.
that's my experience, as a technician. Obviously, euthanasia is a huge thing we had to do. I have so many different stories about all these different things. Okay, I don't want to get into it. Some of it's really like, how could you work, there for as long as you did?
It probably is
Um,
traumatic. I would think some of them are probably very traumatic stories.
yeah, yeah, but it's the other way to think of, about it is your dog doesn't like who they're going with, and neither do the people. They don't want them around. That's not a good scenario for your dog last week. And
Right.
more than likely, what ends up happening is they take the dog for a week and it goes back into a rescue anyway, or
Right.
a shelter or whatever. That's majority of what happens if you
Mhm.
don't, if the animal and the person don't go together. So you got to make sure you talk to these people, make sure how they really feel. Also, especially with parrots, they're alive for a long time. And yeah, maybe when these people were 20, they loved them, but when they have kids and it's been 20 years later, you got to ask these people again. They're not in the same
Yeah.
situation. So you
Right.
got to keep, and birds, so many birds, because they live for like, especially the bigger guys, they live 70 or 80 years.
Yeah.
And it's usually the older people that get them.
I just took in a yellow nape Amazon. She was looking to rehome him, and he had been with his first owner, I think she told me like 35 years, another owner for 10, and then she had him for 10, and he's between 55 and 60 years old. So, and he's very healthy. He doesn't act his age at all, doesn't look his age. He's in perfect feather, perfect feet, perfect beak. Everything looks great on him. Blood work is good. I had him to the vet last week. He's just amazing. And he may live another 20 or 30 years. You know what I mean? So, and I just turned 50. So you guys do the math. He was the first call I made that Monday morning after I brought him home to my attorney to make sure he was added to the will. Um, because I've heard of a lot of cases where people didn't have a will, didn't have a plan for their animals. If their people were maybe their family had all passed on or moved away, if you're not communicating with a neighbor or someone that if something should happen to you, that you have pets at home, you need to make sure because there's been cases where animals have been found in just horrible conditions because an owner passed away or became incapacitated and nobody knew they had the animals. So that's another reason why, even though it's a sad topic, it's a topic that I wanted to address with everybody.
Yep. And oh, I know, especially with the parrots and stuff like that. I know the zoo used to take in some of them, but they
They
had the zoo mobile, but they don't, I think since COVID, I don't even think they've had the zoo mobile up for a while. So
they
the only
haven't.
other, yeah, the only other place that I know is you call some of the breeders in Florida for some of these birds, and some of them will take it for breeding, but again, most people are
Yeah,
already dead, and then it's the family members trying to figure this stuff out.
yeah.
Otherwise, they euthanize these
I,
birds. So you gotta, especially for the birds and exotics and stuff like that, they live for long periods of time. If a family member, it's too much for them, then try reaching out
right,
to some of these breeders and stuff like that. They'll take them. A lot of them will take them back. But again, call around.
right, right. It's, some people that will inherit a parrot, they don't have any experience caring for it. I had one a few years ago, people called me. It was another Amazon. He was in his 30s and they didn't know how to feed him or anything. And they had had him for a couple weeks when they called me to see if I would take him in. And I went to see him and he was dehydrated. He was in really bad shape. And I told him, I said, he really needs to see a vet. He's in very poor condition. Um, I mean, they were giving him soda to drink. They were giving him peanuts. Everything you shouldn't be giving a parrot, they were giving them. Peanuts as a treat are one thing, but it was literally his diet and French fries. I mean, it was crazy what they were feeding him. And so they didn't want me to take him that night. They ended up calling me in the morning because he was worse. And unfortunately, I went to pick him up. I was on my way to the vet and he passed away in the car. And it's something that could have been prevented had the owners had some type of will and testament to leave him with somebody that had parrot care or would have been willing to learn before it was too late. So it was a sad situation. Did you want to share your enrichment? We'll get off
Yeah,
this
yeah.
morbid
I'm
topic.
I'm on to the enrichment. You can unshare your screen if you want to.
Oh, yes, let me do that.
It's okay.
There we go.
Let's see. So, and then I'm going to share this one. Where is that? Yeah. So today's enrichment is literally the easiest thing in the world to do. Any age group can, because I train a lot of a lot of dogs that older people, like say the age of like 80, have gotten a puppy. Uh, it's hard see when you're that age to do a puppy because they have so much energy and you don't. So, and you can't get on your knees like you used to. There's a lot of different things, but if you don't have the capability to do stuff with these puppies, they really lose out, and a lot of behavioral issues come out in there. So one of the easiest things to do ever, and I tell everybody, literally you get a mug, you get dog food, and you're gonna go outside and you're just gonna throw that is the perfect, it's the easiest thing to do. You're gonna see like my dogs every time I do this, they're so excited. But I do this every morning, daycare dogs, my dogs, but again, this is looking, they're going to be doing foraging. They're going to be doing the work. And it usually I can leave them out there for half an hour, 45 minutes, not so much in the wintertime, but at least, in the summer. And after they're done searching for all that food, they come in and they go to sleep. So doing this outside, we're giving it back. We're giving them their voyaging, their nose. It's enriching for these guys, but you're burning just as much energy, if not more, than a run. So if you're older and you don't have time to walk your dog or you can't, or this is what you do. And let me tell you, it solves so many different behavioral issues. It also keeps them in the yard. They don't need to go anybody else's house because there's stuff to do and look for in their yard. So I also, it solves that problem with a lot of dogs jumping the fence, unless it's for, if they do it for anxiety, which a lot of huskies do. But keeps them in the yard, gives them something to do, keeps them from eating stuff. Again, you're giving them something to eat. So if your dog eats rocks and mulch, throw kibble out there. Now they got something to eat instead of doing all this other stuff. It doesn't make it worse. A lot of people say, oh, if I throw stuff up, then they're going to eat everything. No, because you're actually giving them something that they can eat to do. So this literally, I did it. It's 42 seconds long. It takes nothing. So going over my container of dog food, mug, dog food. Shiloh's all excited. He loves this game. And there you go. Just tossing it. Throw it out in the yard. So those are my crew. And then the other two dogs that pop out here are the dogs I'm watching this weekend. They get it too. Look at, they're all excited. But literally, this is probably one of the easiest things anybody can do. So that is my enrichment. It works great.
So
Don't
I
need,
have to
no
admit,
need.
now that I actually watched the whole thing and everything, I did that. I mean, I do that. I didn't know it had a name. I just take the scoop and fling it
Yeah.
out the door into their play area and just kind
Mhm.
of watch them. I like watching them hunt for it. So there you go.
Yeah,
I've been doing enrichment and didn't even realize I was. So that's great.
exactly.
That's
So,
awesome.
so that is the easiest thing to do. Everybody should do it. Literally half, like a lot of behavioral problems go away just with doing this. Inside, outside, a bunch. So that is my number one enrichment guide. Doesn't
That's
cost
great.
anything to train that. So there you
It's
go.
awesome. Very good. I think that's great.
So anyway, everybody have a good New Year's. Be safe. Cops are out, I'm sure, so don't drink and drive. And anybody need any help with if you guys want to train, need training, again, campchloe.com. Let me know, hit me up anywhere if anybody has any questions.
Yeah, it's awesome. Very good. Like I always say, guys, there's no excuse for DUI anymore because there's always Uber and Lyft. So be safe. Thank you. And remember the opinions and things we shared tonight. If you have an issue, health issue with your dog or cat or whatever you have, your vet is always the person that you want to call. Chloe, I absolutely love learning more about your training. Um, I know a woman that broke her leg a year ago that has two Great Danes that are unruly, and I bet she could benefit a lot from this training, as could her dogs. I wonder who she is. Oh, wait, it's me. So, but all
Just
right,
show food
guys.
outside, they'll be okay.
Yeah, there you go.
There you go, easy fix.
There you go. That's all I'll do every day. Doot doot.
It
No,
keeps them busy.
I think it's great. So I'm so happy. And guys, I hope you're enjoying the podcast. We really enjoy doing this for you and for us too. So thank you again. And
We'll see you next year.
yeah, see you next year. Happy New Year.